In today's video, I want to show you how I build new systems in Notion at lightning speed using all of the pro tips, hacks, and tricks that I have learned over 5 years of building in Notion in my 6-figure Notion agency as a consultant. I have built many different systems for many different use cases, and I have learned all of the ways to make the process go much faster, but also build better systems in the long run. So by the end of this video today, you're going to walk away knowing way more about how to build efficiently, but also how to build well in Notion. I promise you, by the end of this video, you're going to feel like an absolute pro. So with that said, let's dive right in. Alright, so here I've written us a little overview of the things that we're going to go through in this video and what you can expect to learn and come out of this video with. I know it's going to be slightly a longer video, and so I want you to know what you're going to get out of watching it and all of the things that I'm going to touch on so that you can be prepared. So in this video, I'm going to go over how to build any template in Notion in less than an hour. Sounds like a bold claim, yes, but to get a rough draft done in an hour is always my mission, and usually I can do it much, much faster than that. With these tips, I'm very confident that you will also be able to do the same thing. And then I'm going to show you how to build smart systems that are user-friendly and scalable. And that's really important for a lot of reasons. Whether you're building templates for customers, just like in the standard Notion template gallery, or selling them on Gumroad or wherever, or you're building systems for businesses as a consultant. I do both. I have experience with both, and I've learned a lot through trial and error with these things. And then I'm going to show you how to make building easier and faster for yourself in the long run, because a lot of these things are things, like I said, that I have learned through trial and error. And error being the operative word there, because I've learned a lot about what works and what doesn't, and what kind of things I need to front load when I build in order to make the rest of the build a lot easier. And I will be showing you all of this. If you see these tabs up here, I have examples prepared, and I'm actually going to be building a system with you here on this video, and I'll show you just how fast this stuff actually is. And then finally, I want to show you some pro tips that I use to build templates for my 6-figure Notion agency. These tips are things that I have just picked up in the long run through trial and error, again, to use that phrase, I guess. The pro tips thing, though, is stuff that you might not find in a typical YouTube video. I don't think these are necessarily things that people are trying to gatekeep. It's just not easy to get these out there for people because the algorithms of various platforms are not going to push them. But I love a good pro tip, and they have really saved my behind in a lot of ways. So with that said, that's enough jaw-jacking. Let's go and dive in. So you'll see our outline here. We have first up on the list is the principles to follow. This is really, really important because principles are what everything flow from. So with principles, this means like the foundational things that you need to know about building any system in Notion. So first thing here is having an admin page for databases. Now, I'll show you what I mean in my supersonic CRM template that's actually getting launched as we speak in this video. It'll probably already be live by the time you're watching this video, if Notion has launched charts, which is why I built this template in the first place, because Notion finally gave us the charts feature that we've all been waiting for. So this is the template that we're going to be building. I'm going to literally build it again with you. I'm not going to put any of this test dummy data in there. You can fill it out yourself if you end up building it. But we're going to build the basic structure that you see here. And you'll see that we have this admin page. So the admin page is where I put all of the databases, and these databases are built as a page, right? So when you are building a database, you have two options. You have inline and full page. A lot of people will just build them as inlines and drop them in where they need them on a given page. And I used to do this, and it's not necessarily the worst thing. It used to be that Notion would literally, if you accidentally deleted an inline database, it was just gone. Like, it didn't matter. You couldn't rescue it from the trash. That has changed now. I believe I've tested it a few times, and so that's not so much the concern anymore. But the reason that I still build them full page like this, you'll see as I go through the principles of this, is that it's going to make it so much easier and faster for you to build. The reason being, for one, I can spin up 6 databases right now just doing what I just did. You know, database full page, name it, and then go back. That hotkey that I use to do that, by the way, is Command left bracket to go back, or Command right bracket to go forward. That'll be useful. We'll come to that later. But so I can build a database like this, and then literally what I will do is just highlight it and duplicate it a bunch using Command D. And I'll wait for them all to load, and then I'll go down the line. You know, you can do Command Shift R, so Command Shift R to rename it, and so on and so forth. So I can often literally name them faster than they can generate, even though they're blank databases. Sometimes Notion is a little bit laggy, and it's especially laggy when I'm recording my screen and recording myself, so I apologize for that. But you see how quick it is for me to be able to just create all of these databases and name them. So, and we'll touch on naming a little bit later on in the video. The reason I do this as well is because now I can go and configure these databases very, very quickly. I can just go down the line, boom, 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 get them all set up. So I'll click into this one, and then I'll click back to, yes, so building databases first. This is really important because when you build the databases first, generally, depending on the template you're building, depending on the system you're building the databases first is like building the bones of your system. And everything else is like the skin that you're wrapping over those bones. So, sorry, that's like kind of a gross analogy, but just go with me. So when you build the databases first, it now makes it a lot easier for you to use that skeleton to kind of create the rest of the pages that are going to run the system. You'll see in this CRM example, I have many pages in here. Not as many because this is like the mini version. The advanced version has like 5 or 6 pages over here on the menu. But each of these pages has multiple linked views of different databases within the system. So if we pop down here to leads, it's 2 different linked views of that CRM database. Same here. These are different linked views showcasing different information, filtering different information in a linked view. This is a linked view of the reporting database. So when you have those skeletons built, now it's a lot easier to wrap the structure of the page around those databases. So that's why we always want to build the databases first. And then we want to build our pages around those workflows. So it's so much easier. I can't impress it enough because I see so many people do it like page by page. And you always want to batch your tasks because it costs your brain energy to switch tasks. So building a database is a task. Creating a page layout and a page structure is a different task. Your brain has to switch modes to kind of do those 2 things. Now it has to think about layouts and user design and your user experience and all of that kind of stuff. So you want to build the structure first. And then you want to add navigation. And this is something I'll show you in a minute, but you'll see that in this page, I have these headers here, which serve as navigation because Notion gave us this new beautiful little sticky menu right here so that we can just jump to wherever on the page that those headers are. It's funny because I had just started building with these headers because I liked the way that they visually kind of broke up the page, not because this sticky menu existed or anything like that. I had just started doing that, and then Notion released the sticky menu that we've all wanted for a long time, or maybe it was just me, but gosh, I wanted a sticky menu so much. So I build the headers of my dashboards and my pages as navigation, and then I also build the menu, which is also useful because it allows us to build pages very quickly and house them on this page. Now, me personally, I use my sidebar to house all of my pages. So if we go up here, ignore my favorites, it's a mess. Yeah, contrary to popular belief, just because I'm a Notion builder, my Notion is almost always messy because I'm always building new things, something I'm working on. But you'll see, like, I have these pages, they live in the sidebar. So just because I have a menu here, those pages still live in my sidebar. And it's just kind of personal preference. So I always build a menu into my templates, especially during the build phase, because it makes it easier and it keeps them out of the sidebar and it keeps them, tied to this template. But even when, I have them living in my sidebar, I tend to create a linked menu for certain systems where there's like multiple pages in them. I digress. Okay, and then, so we're going to go through all of these and then I'm going to start building and I'll show you what I mean. So hang in there. You want to build your properties first and then refine them. So the whole point of this build is to go as quickly as possible, and I'll show you that when we start building, because getting caught in the weeds in the early stages, especially the stuff that's really repetitive and easy to learn, wastes so much time. So don't worry about like how it's going to look or how to present the information. Just start building and putting that skeleton together. And then page templates go last, both databases and actual pages. So I say all this, and let's see how it actually works, because I'm just going to build like I normally build, and I'll talk you through it as I go, and then we'll come back here. So I'm going to open this up. Okay, so let's go to our quick build. Remember, we're going to be building this system. So I'm going to be kind of flipping back and forth, and hopefully that'll be helpful for you, because I just need to reference what we're building since I've already built this, and I want to get it as close as possible so you can see what the outcome is. So I'm going to start with our admin page, and I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to open up a new page. We're going to type in admin, enter, and then the triple line, because I love to have dividers at the top of my page. I don't know how I can live without it. I've memorized a lot of the icons, so that also helps, but usually you can kind of just type in what you're looking for and it'll come up with something similar. I don't bother with page covers because I think they're clunky and they usually don't look that good unless you make them custom. So I tend to avoid those. Okay, so then I'm just going to go from memory. I usually build a callout box. All databases is what I'm going to call it. I like to build things in callout boxes. We'll touch on that later on in the video. And I'm going to highlight this, and then I'm going to make it a database icon, and I keep all of my databases as that icon because with search, when you're searching for a database, it makes it a lot easier to quickly see like that's the database, especially if it has a similar name to other pages that are in your space. That's a pro tip that we'll probably talk on later. Okay, so I'm going to say this is test CRM build DB, and that stands for database. It's another same principle that I just talked about. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm actually going to duplicate it because I think we're only creating 2 databases for this instance. We have our CRM and our reporting database. Okay, and then reporting database. Great. So now we have both of our databases, and if I were building this for a client or for sale, because this template is for sale, you can find it in the description if you want, I put these little info cards, and the reason that I put them there is because it kind of makes the whole thing act like an SOP, like a document that shows people. And I'm sorry, I saved myself a few seconds to not type that out and bore you, but it really wouldn't take that much longer to just type it out. I just use an info icon like that, and then I type my text like this, and I turn it gray. And that's personally just how I like to style my info cards, because then they're consistent and people can spot them as they go throughout the template. I put those info cards in various sections and pages to let them know what to do. So now we're going to build out our CRM. So I usually leave the name pretty self-explanatory, straightforward. We're going to build out a lot of fields here. So I know we're going to build a status field. So I'm going to change this to a status. And I know that I put in a series of different status names. Yeah, new lead, qualified, contacted. Okay, got it. So we have new lead, and then we have qualified, and then we have contacted, call booked, contacted, call booked. I think the next one was like proposal sent. I'm not going to worry too much about getting these exactly right. And then finally, I think we had several that were like one closed. Oh, no, we want it to be green. And then we have like lost. And I think the other one is gone cold, which is a sad day, but we're not gonna dwell on that. Okay. And then we're just going to color code them because that's important for visual cues. It really helps if you make sure that you're using visual cues. Trust me, it just makes your whole system look a lot nicer, and it just adds a nice touch, really. What other one haven't we used? Okay, again, not worrying too much about this. Did that not change it? Okay, so we have our status built. Now we're gonna do like source, and I'm not gonna put all those emojis in there because that's just gonna be boring for you. And it's just like a little flare. You don't have to have emojis in there. So we're gonna say source, and I think I put like a door. Yeah, a door. And this is so that people can keep track of like where their leads came from. Cold call, email, ads, word of mouth, website. I think that's good enough. So we'll go with that for now. And sometimes I like to just like see what it's going to look like as I'm building it. So I'm going to do this and fill them in. And I like to have my status on the left. I came from ClickUp in my 9-to-5 job. So so it's going to start recommending things, and I'm just going to let it recommend things. It's going to figure out what you're building, and this makes things go a lot faster, and I hope that Notion continues to lean into this. So I'm going to say revenue, but I actually want this to be estimated value, but it's already nice and formatted for me, except for the dollar. And then I'm going to actually duplicate that because I'm going to want something that is the closed value as well. That's important. I know that's in there. Okay, so we've got their phone number, their email, their website. That's pretty good. I think I also have one for like company size and title. I think that's good. What else do we have in here? A lead score. That's good. Yep, job title. Oh, company. Yep, company. So we're going to move company over here. I kind of try to logically organize these, but this is actually a system view, which is something I completely forgot to tell you about. So I always build in a table view like this because it's the fastest way to generate properties, as you can see, but I always call it system, and I leave every single property in the entire database showing in this system view. That's very important. So let's see, what else did I have in here? Okay, I'm not going to get into like too much of this. Initial contact and date close, that's good. Dates are really helpful if you know that they're going to need to do some reporting, because you can always calculate the date between. And then date closed. And a lot of this I'll set up with automations, but that's a topic for a different video. Okay. And then, oh yeah, archive and archived, like an archive button. So I always do this in pretty much every single database view. I am going to build an archived system because it's just necessary. Like in a lot of ways, you're going to end up wanting to archive pages. You don't want them to be deleted, but you also don't want them clogging up your views because they're old. You might need that data for future reference, but you don't need it clogging up your views and constantly having to filter it out. So, yeah, I will, in this case, sometimes I'll make it as a status, like an archived status. In this case, I made it as a checkbox because there's going to be some reporting and I didn't want to have to filter out the archived status every single time. So I'm going to make this say archive. I'm not going to do all caps because I don't think I did that in that one. And then I make it a little box icon like this. And I'm going to say when the button is clicked, I'm going to, where's my archived? There it is. Archived should be checked. And then I'm also going to add a second or third date property, rather. I'm going to say date archived. It's also something I like to do because then you know what day it went into the archive. And if it was a really, really long time ago, you can delete it. And I do like to add the little box icon to the archived button. I find that putting button emojis on buttons just makes them look more visually appealing. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to add another step. And I'm going to set that date archived to now. So that'll set the date archived to whatever date it was clicked. So I'll clear that though. We don't need that there for now. I think that's all of the properties. Oh yeah. Okay, we had reason for loss, and then the contact button actually connects into the meetings database. So I'm going to delete this because this template actually doesn't have access to the meetings database. It's like a smaller stripped down version of this database. So I'm going to add the final two things, which is reporting and reason for loss. So the relation, actually I can't because we don't have that built yet. So I will build that on the other end. And then text is reason for loss. And this is just a way to keep track of like why a deal didn't close. It's always a sad day, but you know, it's important to have that data to look back on. So I think that's everything, right? We talked about making sure we have an admin page, building our databases first, building properties first, and then refining them. So we've done that in this case right here. And we've built a system view, which allows us to come back here and edit databases. It's just a pro tip that I've used a lot, is that when you have this big, juicy, kind of robust system or template, having one source of truth to come back to make changes that are going to ripple out into the rest of the template if you're using linked database views, having this admin page and having that system view saves so much time. I promise you it saves so much time. So I'm going to just put test lead number 1, just so we have some data. I'm not going to like build out a whole bunch of dummy data for you. So we have that. Okay. So now let's go ahead and build our reporting database. Now I'm going to say this right now. I wrote a ton of formulas for this database, and I'm not going to write all these formulas for you because this actually takes a long time. So if you want to talk about saving time with formulas, just get really, really good at writing them, because this easily took me a full workday. So I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to build out our system view with all of the other properties and show you kind of how that works. And then, okay, so we have formulas. I'm going to skip those. Let's set up our relation. Sometimes I just delete this tags thing because it's annoying. It gets in the way, and I don't always find that it's easy to go in and change. So test CRM build, this is going to be deals is what I called it on this end, and on the other end it's going to be reporting. So that allows us to connect these two databases together. And I can just do this. I guess I put an S in there by mistake, and we're going to say like, okay, what month is it? It's August 24, and then September 24, and then October 24. And that's going to be our setup for this. And then I think I actually turned on sub items here for this one, and I'm going to show those properties so I can change the names of them. So this is going to be year. And then this is going to be months. And I'm going to give us one more page, which is 2024 reporting, is how I set it up there. And I'm going to move that up to the top. I'm going to nestle everything else underneath it. And now everything rolls up to 2024. So that's going to be really useful for our views and reporting that we build later. So. And I'm sorry that I'm moving really quickly through this. I just figured nobody wants to sit through an hour-long video, so I'm trying to finish it faster than that. Okay, so we have that set up. Let's set up our date archived things again. So here's archive, and I really wish that Notion would give us like a property gallery. I know like ClickUp has that. I think Coda has that. It's kind of nice to not have to like build the same properties over and over again, but I can't imagine how difficult that is with code and structuring it, so I'll forgive them for that this time. But someday, Notion, if you're watching this, that would be pretty nice. Okay, so we're gonna build our archive, and then, oh yeah, date archived. So date archived. All right, so now we've got that built. Add this final step. Okay, so like I said, I'm not going to bother building all of the formulas right now. That's just like way too much work. Even just copying and pasting them is a lot of work. I will add this one, however, because this is just a little pro tip that I didn't even plan on sharing with you. It makes it so much easier. I just put a space there for the title so that it doesn't have a title. I put a dash as the formula or the icon, paste this formula in, and now we have a nice little divider. And I really use that for gallery views and board views where you might list a bunch of properties. For instance, here, if we go back to our like actual reporting page and scroll to the bottom, you'll see that we have like these properties listed here. And this little divider just adds like a nice little space. Notion doesn't really give us that option, so that's the hack, the workaround for this. Okay, so that's enough time spent setting up, just roughing in the databases. And that's the thing too, is you don't need to have this perfect. It really does not need to be perfect. It's just about roughing that in. I don't know exactly how much time that took, maybe 5 to 7 minutes. So let's move on to building like a pro. So you've already seen me use some keyboard shortcuts. Keyboard shortcuts are essential. If you are a Notion builder, you don't need to know all of them, but there are a few that you really need to know. The main ones being, like I was saying before, command left bracket goes back one page, command right bracket goes forward one page. I actually have a mouse here that has like buttons on it that I've programmed to do that. So it's a lot easier for me, but that is one that has saved me so much time. Also, command D. So if I highlight this and do command D, copies it, saves a lot of time. If let's say I had multiple things here and I have one of them highlighted, hold shift, go up, and now you can manipulate all of these at once. Saves a lot of time. So there's a whole list of shortcuts. I'm not going to go into every single one, but Notion does have they have like a whole list. If you look on their website, they have a whole list of the different shortcuts that you can use. Some of them are easy, like to just bold some text or italics, underline. One that I also like to use a lot is command backspace, pulls up the menu. Wait, now I have to think about it. I don't usually have to think about it. If something's highlighted, command backspace maybe. No, now this is embarrassing because it's something that I just like don't even think about. And now I have to think about it. So I'll come back to that one. It's basically to create the menu really easily. So like if I do this, yeah, it is that. Okay. I was bugging for a second. So when you've highlighted something like this, you can click up, but if you just have something highlighted, you can do this and start typing like columns and turn it into columns. And then command Z to undo that as well. So that is one of my favorite ones, is like if I have something highlighted, I can pull up the menu doing that command backslash and turn it into like text, right? So turn it into text. And I even wouldn't use that. I would do text. If I could type today, that'd be great. And I wouldn't even have to like scroll down. I try not to use your mouse because that takes forever. Okay, so this is where we're going to head next, building views on the main database. So now that we have this built out, now it's time to build the actual views. And this is a huge pro tip because I'm going to take my glasses off for a second. They're hurting my head. Because if you build the views here on the main database, the source database, the views will now be available wherever else you build them. So I'm going to see what views I have. I built a lot of views in this. Let's go back. See that navigation button? Saved me some time. I could have used my mouse or my backspace thing, but that might have not taken me to the correct page. So those navigation buttons are huge. Okay. So we have like current pipeline, which is just a board view. These are all charts, which I believe I can build because they're on the CRM. Okay. So let's build a couple views. I'm going to literally duplicate this view and turn it into a table view, just a basic table view. And I'm going to select that. And then I'm going to go, here's another pro tip. Don't go and like one by one hide takes way too much time. Open up the Properties tab by clicking on the three dots right here, Properties, and now I'm gonna literally hide them all, and I'm gonna put them back in the order that I want them in. So I'm gonna move, see, pretty cool, huh? How you move them and they go in the right order. And then I think I had like source, website, estimated value, company title, companies. Yeah, let's do initial contact, email, phone number. Okay, that's all I want in this view. That should be pretty good. And now I'm just going to freeze this so that when I scroll over, again, fancy mouse allows me to scroll horizontally. Love that. Highly recommend. It's a Logitech MX Master 3. Not affiliated, just love this mouse, especially for Notion. Anyway, so I have my table view built out, and now I'm going to build a board view. Does the same thing, and I want to color the columns. I don't want it to hide empty groups because I want people to be able to like drag into different sections. So don't hide your groups if that's the goal, if you're trying to keep it like a Kanban board. But if you don't want, lost to show up or gone cold, go ahead and hide those. So this is what I think I called the lead pipeline. And that's because it'll just make it easy for people to kind of move cards across their pipeline as they are working on them. And then I'm going to figure out which views or which things I want to display. So I probably want their email, maybe their source. We don't need status. They're already in their status. Maybe their website. Let me go put in some dummy data so we have this. test@email.com. Copy that. Paste it. Okay, and then we're going to do 555, 555, 5555. Okay, and then copy that. Paste. And then we're going to do website.com. So original. So creative. My dummy data in the other one is just way more fun. So I'm going to say 50,000 and 35,000, and we're just going to be ambitious. 75,000. Why not? And then now this stuff is showing. I can see what it looks like. Let me move it around. I kind of like the source at the top. Yep. Okay. I like that. And then let's do estimated value. Okay. That's pretty nice. At a glance, I can get the information that I need, which is all I'm really looking for. And then I think the next thing we had is actually a chart. I'm going to be making a video, if I haven't already, on charts. So if you haven't messed around with charts yet, this is going to be fun to watch, hopefully. Okay, so we have the status showing there, and then we have the count. I'm pretty sure that's exactly how I had it built. Let me check. Yes, and then, okay. So this is just intended to show, like, at a glance where things are at. And I think what I did actually is in the more style options, I want both of the names. Yeah, so status and count. And I think I called it, lead pipeline reporting. And that's nice for labeling purposes because I'm really only going to display this on a reporting view most of the time. Sorry, trying to think and type at the same time. Reporting, okay. I'm just going to leave the icon as it is. Actually, what I was doing is changing the icon to reflect what type of chart it is. Otherwise, it's kind of confusing when it's like a pie graph and you open up a bar chart. Maybe that's just me. Okay, and then we have like revenue by source. So I think this is displaying the source and the closed value. So let's do that. So let's do chart, donut chart. We have the source and the estimated value. And I think we had some. There we go. Perfect. So now it's showing us, cold call is making us the most money. I love that you can like hover over it and it gives you more information. And then word of mouth and ads. So now let's label this as revenue by source. And we will leave that one alone. And then revenue by client. Same thing. I'm actually going to just duplicate it. Save me some time because now I don't have to retitle the whole thing. That was inefficient, but there you go. Okay, so then we have, I think it's by client now. So we want Maybe it's lead. Oh no, it's just their name. Duh. Yeah, so it's going to show us their name and then the value that is coming from them. And then finally, we have our trusty archive view. So one thing, okay, bad Madison, I should have done this before. So we have archived, we set a filter that archived should always be unchecked. So nothing in this view is going to show up if archived is checked. That's how we filter out our data so that we can have that handy dandy archived view that we're about to build in a moment. Okay, so once we've done that, then we're going to build our archived view. So this is just going to be an empty view, and then we're going to call it archive, again with our handy dandy little box icon. And then I actually don't show the status because it's going to be irrelevant probably. And then we're going to have a filter set where archived is checked. And then I'm going to hide most of the properties. I'm just going to hide them all again. And I think I'll show the source. I will show the email. I will show the date archived. I think that's everything. Oh, lead owner. I didn't create that. Okay, that's all right. Let's create a person. And this will be the lead owner. That's like the head salesperson who's going to be in charge. And it's good to know who that person is when you're looking at the archived view in case you're reviving a source or reviving a lead or something like that. So I just had source, lead owner, and date archived. Okay. That's fine. I'll leave this as is. So now that we've built each of these views, it's going to be so much easier to go into our linked view building process. So let's go over here. We have our admin page. Let me actually go back to the outline. Okay. So yeah, this is a pro tip, big pro tip, shortcut and hack for you, is to save the databases that you use often. So I just had to build this database from scratch just to show you how it's done. But in reality, I did not build this database from scratch. I've built the same databases over and over and over again enough to learn that I shouldn't be doing that every single time. So instead, what I do is I have a templates team space over here with databases in them, and I have stripped all of these databases out. So I have this database, you can see it even has the dummy data in it, but it's not related to anything. So I've removed the relation properties. So that way I can just bada bing, bada boom. That was cringe, but you know what I mean? I can just like duplicate this, and I could duplicate it with or without content. I will do it with the content because it's a dummy database. And now I can duplicate this database. I can duplicate whatever other databases that I need to build a new template, to build a new setup for a client. Maybe they only need CRM projects and tasks. Boom, I can duplicate those 3 databases, and they're not connected to anything. They're just stripped. They're even stripped of color. I stripped them into white because I build all of my clients' stuff in their colors, their brand colors. And I'm starting to build all of my templates in a white version first, and then I'll rebuild them, or not rebuild them, but recolor them into my red branding for demo purposes. It's very tedious. I'm probably going to pay a VA to start doing that for me. But now I have a new CRM database, and all I have to do is create the relations. That is my biggest tip for you. If you get anything, if you've made it to minute 38 of this video, and that is the only takeaway from this video, I think that that's probably the best tip I have for you if you know that you're building the same stuff over and over and over again. Okay, and then quick word, buttons, filters, and statuses. I've already touched on this. I kind of showed you what I mean by that with the archive thing. So that's what I mean, is setting up views that filter strategically and only show certain data is a huge part of building quickly, and then also building well, building things that are going to be user friendly. So using buttons to do certain actions that even just, click a checkbox or change a status. You can do quite a bit with these Notion buttons, and that's maybe a video for a future time. So subscribe if you want to see how I use these buttons creatively and use them to automate things like setting dates, for example. Buttons to archive pages is really, really helpful. So I tend to set those little tricks up in advance as well, because now all of these views have that feature set. They have that filter set. So they're automatically going to filter out the archived pages. So that's really helpful. Takes a lot less time if you set it up at the beginning, because now you don't have to go through every single view in all of your workspace and set that up. Okay, so that's one thing. I think we touched on all of those. Okay, so now we're going to get into UX, and I'm going to show you how I build out my UX. So we've got our admin page. I'm actually going to, and UX, for anyone who doesn't know, is user experience. And when you're a Notion builder, you are a developer. There is a user experience that you are in charge of creating. So I use buttons to create navigation. And I'm just going to make this really quick, and then I'm going to duplicate it because it's always going to be pointing back to this quick build tutorial page. So open page, and I'm going to say quick build tutorial in full page, and that basically makes it a navigation button. So now if I click this, it takes me back to this main dashboard. So I'm just going to copy that to my clipboard, and and then I'm going to paste it here because I'm going to use that in a second. Okay, I'm going to put my little divider. Now let's start making things look nice. All right, so I always build with 2 columns, and I build in callout boxes because callout boxes separate things visually and they make things look nice. They also prevent databases from like running off the page, which me personally, I hate when they run off the page, so I build everything in callout boxes. And the way that you build with callout boxes is you do what I just did. You create 2 callout boxes, then you create another blank block like this, and drag it up into the callout box, and now you can style and create things in the callout box. So that's how I do it, and then I just duplicate that bar and that block. And I usually make the one on the right just like the default color. So I'm just going to say dashboard, bold that. I'm going to choose my little dashboard icon, and then I will highlight this text and make it red. You have to highlight it that way and then make it red. You can't just like make the whole thing red because it'll make all the text in the whole callout box red. And then I'm just going to make my menu over here, and I use the little lines so it kind of looks like a hamburger menu on a website. It's familiar UX for people. I'm going to move my admin page down there, and I usually separate admin pages and things like that. And then I'm going to make my CRM page, and I'm going to do something here. So I'm going to duplicate this button, drag it into the CRM page, and then I'm actually going to do this really quick because I should have done this first. I'm just going to copy this because this is how I want all the pages to look. So I'm going to make it a full width page. I'm going to delete that or move that down here. And then boom, paste. So now I didn't have to like go and make those columns again and make those call out boxes again. That's just really annoying. So now I'm actually going to copy this whole thing because I want my other page to look like this too. I'm going to add a card icon to my CRM page, go back to home, and then I will move these up back into the menu. Again, I'm sorry I'm flying through this. I'm just trying to show you how quickly we might not get through the whole build because I don't want to take all of your day. But now instead of having to build this again, I'm literally just going to duplicate this page and call it, I think it was reporting. And we're going to make it a graph. All right. So we're going to say like reporting dashboard. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to turn this into a synced block so that I can just sync it around, and any changes that happen are going to reflect and show up on every page. So now we do this, and boom, we have like an actual navigation menu. This is where Notion turns into like almost a website. Which is really cool because you're making like a custom web app, custom website for everything. So now this is our home page, this is our menu, and now we can start calling up those linked views that we made. So let's use our CRM build. I want that table view. I don't know why sometimes it adds the database title, even when it's not set, but we have our table view. We have our lead pipeline. No. One thing I will say is Notion's been really glitchy with that lately, with like the view selection. Keeps like moving things on you, which is annoying. And then I'm gonna just add all of the views that we made just to show you how it works. So I have that. I won't add like archive though. See what I mean about it being glitchy? Okay, that's enough for now. While it's thinking. So now we've just built like 4 views in like 3 seconds because we've already built them. And now if you need to change them or make changes to them to, customize them to your dashboard or whatever, now it's a lot easier to do that. And any changes you make to this view, so if I change this into, I don't know, a gallery view, it's not going to reflect on the actual like main database. So my lead pipeline view still exists, but I was able to make those changes to it here. And so I used the structure of that existing view to build a new view, essentially, for this purpose. So I'll delete that. And then same thing with reporting. We can now go, if we were to build all of those views out in the reporting database, now I could just build a bunch of different charts that show a bunch of different stuff in this database and do the exact same thing. So I hope that you're seeing how easy this makes it to just like whip up views and create the page that you want as quickly as possible. So I'm gonna stop talking. I'll hop back to my outline, make sure that we're hitting on everything. Okay. So info cards. The UX, user experience, is really important in Notion because Notion is so user driven. It's not as structured as something like Asana or ClickUp. You have to make it what you want to make it. So those info cards that I was showing you, where I'm putting these little info cards around and dropping them in places where, my clients or customers might find them useful, is really, really helpful. I can change the message. Below are the main dashboard views for your CRM system, stuff like that. I often will drop these in more complex templates or sections of templates that require them to like drag and drop something or use buttons to build them, or I'll even embed videos. I will turn this into a toggle. I'll turn this into a toggle so it'll look kind of the same, but it'll have a toggle, and this is where I will embed Loom videos, kind of like the one you're watching right now. This isn't a Loom video, but it's similar, where I will film myself walking through how to do something in the template. And this is something that I do to try to just take my templates to the next level, but also it saves me a lot of trouble. Telling them how to do things and embedding that tutorial in the page is going to save you from so many support emails, so many back and forth emails with clients. And not only that, it's going to make it easier for them to use it and for their team to use it. So if they're onboarding someone or hiring someone or bringing someone into their system, they don't have to explain it every single time. It's already on the page. So the people just need to be resourceful and watch the video, and they're going to figure out how to use it. So that is something that takes your builds to the next level. It's thoughtful and it's thinking ahead about their needs. And also with info cards, I wasn't just talking about like these little things. I was also talking about in your databases, and this is again why having this database here and having your system view is so important. Is I'm also talking about the info cards for each of your, the descriptions for each of your views and each of your properties. And this does take time, but again, just like I just mentioned, it makes it so much more user-friendly. And this is honestly something I do at the end. Once I know all the properties are in and built into the template, once I know all of the views are there, I will go through and I just write a quick little like blurb about this is a system view that shows all properties within this database. Use this for editing properties with ease. So ease. I will just write a quick little blurb. And then what that does is now when they hover over the view, it tells them what that view is and what it's for. It helps them learn how to use your template. Same with all of these properties here. So if we go over here, you'll see they all have the little info card. Some of it is super simple, like this is like 5 words. But this one tells you, specifically what this property is for and what this view does and all of that. It's tedious, yes, but that extra 10-20 minutes that you spend adding those info cards could make the difference between your template being intuitive and easy to use and your template being a huge headache. So that's really important. Loom videos and tutorials are really important. I always put a Loom video at the very top of my templates. So I put this like start here toggle right here, and I drop a Loom video, and sometimes I'll even drop a little like description or extra text there to support the video. I put that Loom video there as like the comprehensive walkthrough, and then sometimes I even break it down into other videos, and I will put them at the top of each page. So I will literally cut out the part where I'm showing how to use that specific page and break it into a separate video that just shows that part, just shows you how to use a CRM page. And I will embed that at the top of this page with like a how to use this page info card. And again, it makes it going that extra mile will save you time, will make you look more professional, and it will make your templates easier to use. And it really isn't that much extra time. All of this stuff might add up to an extra hour at the end of building your template, but it is worth it. I promise you it is worth it. To not get all those emails, to not have to constantly re-explain things to people, it's worth it. One more thing I do want to talk about is there's a tool called TextBlaze that I use to save a lot of the things that I use, because I know every single database is going to have a system view, right? So I wrote that and it was quick, but you know what's quicker? Typing, if I could typing system view, and it's already typed for you. And I am an affiliate with TextBlaze, so I will put my affiliate link down in the description. But it lets you write your own custom shortcuts and then your own custom / commands. So I typed / system view, but I also have one for like the archive button. So I'll put my little card there, archive button, and it types it out for me, so on and so forth. So I write those as I go when I realize that I'm needing to write them multiple times, and then I can just call it up in an instant. That saves me a ton of time. And then last thing I will say here is that naming conventions are essential. Naming conventions will save your butt, especially if you are a Notion builder, a Notion dev, and if you use automation tools like Make, like I do. Using naming conventions makes it so that you can isolate and specify exactly which page and database you are targeting when you're looking and searching through this long list of databases in Make or even in Notion. So that's why I label all of my databases like this. They almost always end in DB or database. I almost always have this little pipe here, and I will put like an acronym. So if we go back over here, you'll see I have too many S's in here, but it's SSS CRM, so that when I'm looking through a list of databases, I know what template this belongs to. Those naming conventions make a huge, huge difference in the long run when you're building a lot of systems all the time. Okay, I know we're reaching the end of this video. I wanted to get this in under an hour, but I'm trying to cram a lot of information in, so please forgive me for that. Some of this we've already talked about. We have callout boxes to break out text and databases from running off the page. This really does make a big difference visually. Visual overwhelm and visual clutter does make a huge difference for the people using your templates. I don't know why I see so many big Notion creators not using this trick. It irks me. There's other tricks, and I've seen other people that, design very well without it. But I swear, callout boxes are one of the most underutilized design tricks in Notion. The other tricks, like coloring text, using the same colors, using little emojis like this, because now when I pop this open, I can I don't know. I like the way it looks. I don't always use emojis. I don't always love emojis. If I'm making something for a super professional, like lawyer or real estate person or something, I won't use emojis. But for me, for my templates, I like to use them, even in like the little, select fields here, because I just think it looks nice. It makes it easier for you to like visually grab what that thing is. I especially focus on using icons for properties because, again, your eyes can pick up graphics way faster than text. Your brain is always looking for shortcuts, and using icons makes that easier. Don't make it harder for your brain. Don't make friction for someone else's brain when you're delivering them a template that's supposed to make their life easier. Use icons, use colors, use call out boxes. It makes a big difference in how professional your template feels. If you're asking someone for $100, $200, $300 for a template and it feels clunky and gross, they're not going to have the best user experience. And that's just the truth. So the navigation buttons we talked about, I use those all over the place, especially because not everybody knows how to click through like the breadcrumbs here at the top. And sometimes if you're in a database view, those breadcrumbs are hard to click through anyway. So I will put buttons, navigation buttons, and quick action buttons like this to generate a new lead all throughout my template. Wherever I feel like I'm getting stuck or I have to open up the sidebar to get somewhere, I know that I need to have a button. So look for that. Using the same color, or at the very least, if you're going to use multiple colors, keep them consistent. So for me, I use pretty much gray and red. That's all I use in all of my personal templates for my brand, because my brand color is red. If your brand color is blue, use blue. Use blue icons, use blue text, use blue callout boxes. Usually you can get away with like blue and white, blue and gray. Gray and white are kind of just like the default colors. So use consistent colors and icons all throughout your space. I promise it makes a big difference. People who try to cram way too many colors in there, unless they are a seasoned graphic designer, are usually just going to make it look like confetti or like a rainbow threw up. And that's not what we want. That's not professional. It's not cohesive. So there, in very rare instances, I will, if someone has a lot of brand colors, like Notion themselves, for instance, uses all the primary colors, so blue, yellow, red, you could color code them to mean different things. So your CRM system is red, your project management system is blue, and your hiring system is yellow. That's fine. As long as you keep it consistent, it can actually help with a visual cue, like I mentioned before. So just a note on that. And then, yeah, don't use fancy icons unless, like I said, you are a graphic designer who can design icons at the drop of a hat, or you have someone on your team who is. This is just a waste of time. And it's also not always the best because sometimes they don't load properly. Like they'll just disappear and not like it takes forever for them to load versus just the baked in Notion icons will always show up. And the other problem there too is that they don't always transfer when someone is downloading your template. If you're selling a template, those icons won't always transfer over. And if they can't use them for whatever reason, they have to come up with their own template and then or their own icon. And then they just have like one random icon that doesn't look the same as the rest of them. So for template sales purposes as well, don't use fancy icons. It's not worth it. And this one I kind of already showed you, which is like build the page structure once and then duplicate it. So I did that when I was making the reporting page. It's like I just literally duplicated the CRM skeleton that I had built out and changed the name of the page because I knew that I wanted them both to look the same. So do this before you lay in your skeleton. Like you saw, I had to move the pages out of the menu. I should have just like built the menu, built the dashboard, call out, then duplicated the page. And this is especially helpful if you have like 6 pages in your database. Like I said, this is the stripped down version. In the big version, that there's like 5 or 6 pages over here that I had to build. And I was able to build them at speed because I just duplicated the page skeleton. And then I didn't have to like rebuild that button and rebuild the call out boxes and the columns, etc. I built it once, I made them all look the same, and then I customized from there. And that's just the way that I tend to do it. That saves me a lot of time. So I know this was a lot to cram into one video, but I get asked these questions a lot in my community, my email list. People email me, ask me these questions. People DM me on X, they ask me these questions. And I just wanted to give you some insight into how a professional Notion builder builds very quickly and very easily. I know I didn't get to build the entire thing. Maybe I'll make some more actual comprehensive videos if you're interested in watching me actually build something from scratch until I finish. I would be interested and willing to do that if you guys want to see that. But I hope that you left this video with a lot more knowledge and a lot more expertise in how to build efficiently in Notion and how to build better templates for your customers and your clients, because that's ultimately the goal of this channel, is to teach business owners, fellow consultants, how to get the most out of Notion, how to get the most out of Make, and how to build really efficient, beautiful, and easy to use templates. So I hope that's what you got out of this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. This is a new channel, and I would love to have you stick around, because I'm going to be making a lot more videos like this, and I'm going to be going in depth on a lot of these topics. So if you have a topic, please leave a comment below. If you have questions or you want to see me make a video on a specific thing, leave a comment. I will be looking at all of the comments, and I will be trying to reply to all of them. So I would really appreciate that. And thanks again for watching.